What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Lexi J Wellness Podcast. This is your host, Lexi Johnson, and my co-host and husband is back in action. Brett's here, which I know a lot of you guys are really happy about. I selfishly am also super happy to have another person on the couch with me. So this week, it was kind of something. We were watching Ford vs. Ferrari last night. It's not at all involved with that movie, but it is a great movie if you're looking for a recommendation. And in the middle of it, I had to pause the movie because my brain is like a squirrel brain and I'm constantly just thinking of random things. I paused the movie, completely interrupted our train of thoughts, but I was like, hold on. I have kind of a theory on goals, and this is just like a peek into the inner wirings of my brain and what's always going on. But anyway, I interrupted the movie to pitch this to Brett because I was like, I think I'm onto something. This might not have any grounds. But okay, so if you think about your goals, you're always thinking about the positive side of things. And we always talk about, you have to be optimistic. You have to, put that out there. That way you continue to bring positivity into your life. However, a lot of times if you accomplish those goals, you're like, well, you're strapped with a new set of, stress or demands or exertions that come with it. And then we kind of go into like almost a sense of entitlement. Or, you're not grateful for the thing that you had worked so hard for and that you had dreamt about for so long. And I've heard the phrase, like, I used to dream about these stresses. Like, that's a semi-common one, I feel like. But I don't know that that's actually true. I don't know that people really think about the reality and the expectation of what's to come if and when you achieve those goals. So I was thinking of some examples like, okay, if in 2024 or in the next 5 years, for example, if you have a goal to get a promotion, you have to understand that when you get that promotion, that new position is going to come with a new host of responsibilities and stressors that are going to put demands on your life. But you still want that. You just have to be understanding of the reality of the situation. If you have a 100-pound weight loss goal and you achieve it, you'll probably have to invest in some new clothes because nothing's going to fit you. You'll probably have to understand that you're going to have some loose skin. And if you want to handle that, then it's going to incur a cost with surgery or something like that. But that's just a side effect to achieving that goal. If you have a goal to, get pregnant, then you're going to be grateful, or you should be grateful, that you have morning sickness and that you have sleepless nights with a newborn because you wanted that so bad. And if you have a goal to grow your team and you're a business owner, you have to understand that the stress of payroll taxes and managing people, that comes alongside that goal that you had set and that you had thought about for so long. So I wanted to talk about just the expectations and the reality of achieving goals and making strides towards that goal. I came up with like a million different examples. I actually have a note in my phone as I was thinking about them.
I don't even remember how you thought of this.
It had no basis on the movie that we were watching at all.
I was going to say, I don't really think there was anything that just prompted the thought during the movie.
Nope,
but
just...
It is a good thought.
Just my train of thought.
No, it's good stuff. I personally, I think of it as reframing things.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, because the way that your mind was processing things was we look forward to these things in our life. We even make them goals. And then whenever we achieve that goal, we don't expect any negatives to come along with it. Mm-hmm. Because, we make it out to be, perfection, this blissful thing. And then once you achieve it and it comes, and then, there's a negative that comes along with it, just like anything else, just like negative came along with your prior situation. But it's a different type of, negative consequence, and you don't expect it. And then you start bitching about it, just like any other thing that you incur on a daily basis. But
yeah, it so quickly just becomes, like I said, that like sense of entitlement where, okay, this is the new norm. And now, well, I was expecting to get to this point and not have any stress and not have any problems in my life. And what happened? Now I just have elevated problems. And that's the thing that very few people talk about, and you don't really think about when you're thinking of these goals. And as you're progressing towards them, you get into that sense of like, once I get there, all of my problems will be solved. And I remember listening to a podcast that Alex Hermosi was on, and he had said something about receiving negativity on social media. And he said, like, at first it kind of got under his skin, but then he was like, it would be naive of me to think that I could reach the number of people that I want without also reaching people that are not going to have, productive things to say back to me, that are going to look to tear me down, that are going to just, troll and hope that I'm just as miserable as someone else. And it's kind of naive to expect that you're going to achieve all these goals and then not deal with any consequences, side effects of them, because life is a series of different consequences. And just because you elevate in stature in any sense, and we can put it in like professional, personal, health and fitness, any of that, financial, there are going to be side effects to it. There are going to be elevated stresses that you have to incur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's always a negative to something, no matter what. I mean, we all have these goals, and we all want to make progress, but along with those progress come obstacles. So
that's what I'm like. I kind of want to reframe you saying there's a negative to it and just saying like there's an obstacle. There's a challenge.
Right. So let's just say here's like a little, for instance, of like normal, like what the average person's goals might be. So you, let's say you get married and you have a goal to have children, and you have a kid, and you're like, oh, well, life's more expensive now. I need to work harder and get a promotion at work. So you have these increased expenses from an extra human to take care of. You end up achieving your goal, getting a raise. Oh, well, now I'm in a new tax bracket. I have a new problem to fix. And you're like, okay, well, now I have to pay more in taxes. Well, family continues to grow, and now both of you are making more money. It's a great thing. And then you need more space. You buy a new house. Mortgage bill goes up, property taxes go up. Oh man, now we have something new to bitch about, something new to figure out. I mean, the list just goes on and on. But you have to be able to reframe these things in your mind, because if you look back at the beginning, whenever you were looking at all these things that you want to achieve, and then you think, man, look how far we've come, look how much we have, look how blessed we are. And you have to be able to sit back and reframe things in a positive way, because you can't always just continually look for the negative and everything.
It's so easy. But yeah, that's what I think a lot of people, some people, and I've seen so many examples of this, like with health and fitness, where people have the example I used earlier, like if you lose a significant amount of weight and then you have loose skin. And I've seen that time and time again, where people are like, well, if I lose all that weight, then I'm going to have loose skin, and I don't even want loose skin. But the other side of it is just to not lose that weight, and you're in a really poor health situation. You're unhappy. You have, zero energy, a poor mood. Your mental health sucks. Your physical health is trash. But God forbid you deal with that loose skin. And then you kind of use that, like that one little caveat that is not the best outcome of your desired outcome. And then you let that be a cop out for why you're not pursuing that. Like, well, I don't want to put myself out there and interview for that promotion because I don't want to, have to work one Saturday a month. I don't want to have to deal with higher taxes. I don't want to, but do you want the stresses that you have currently? Do you just want to sit here? Because elevation in any area of your life is going to come with elevated problems. But as you continue to, move forward and you're progressing as an individual, you're progressing in your manner in which you handle that, and your capacity for handling stress and, those overwhelming anxious situations become less and less hindering to you. Mm-hmm. I think about that a lot, especially if I get overwhelmed or stressed, like in business, and I'm like, dang, this problem would have crippled 2020 Lexi. 2018 Lexi could not fathom, having this mental load right now that's causing me like some stress. And then that's exciting. That's really fulfilling, because it does just give you more perspective on how you've grown as a human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having the gratitude mindset is really the best way to combat these things.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you have to be able to look for the silver lining in everything. Because you're blessed to be in the situation that you're in. You're blessed to have achieved the things that you've achieved, and to have the opportunity to achieve more. That's the beauty about living in America, is that we have the opportunity. Like, there's always the opportunity for more. And so long as things continue the way that they are, I mean, we always have that positive possible outcome, and that's the beauty of it. But you can't constantly just look for the negative that comes along with these new opportunities.
Or just, yeah, I think the point I'm trying to get across is just being realistic about the situation that you're pursuing, that your weight loss goal that you're achieving, that pair of pants that you want to put on so bad that hasn't fit in years, when you achieve that goal, life is still going to continue, and life is not going to be stress-free or problem-free, but it doesn't make that goal any less valuable to pursue. It doesn't make it any less worthwhile of an endeavor to, to pursue. So yes, I mean, reframe your goals if that's what it takes. Say, I desperately want to feel jet lagged. Make that your goal. If you want to travel more in 2024, make that your goal, because that means that if you're jet lagged, you've gone somewhere in a way different time zone, and that's just a byproduct. And then the side effect of being jet lagged in that situation is that you probably made a ton of memories. You traveled overseas, all of that stuff. Make your goal that you have to pay X amount in payroll taxes if you want to grow your team, because then the side effect to that goal, or what prompted that goal, is that you grew your team. You have a stronger team, a larger business, whatever that is. I just think that just be realistic about the goals and understand, reframing your expectations, that it's not going to solve your problems.
That is a very interesting way to think about it, to like make the goal the negative thing, so to speak. That's interesting. It's
kind of, I said it could be bullshit, but I feel like I'm onto something. Maybe I'll start.
Then it's not it's not a surprise, or it's just such a, like you were saying, a side effect, like a negative side effect, because it truly is just something bad that comes along with something good.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot. And it's something that we've referenced, like in this house building situation, where we've said, well, it's good stress to have. Like building my team, it's good stress to have. Staying up late because we have, a big workload, that's good stress to have. And framing it in that way is like, yes, we should be grateful for this, because what's the alternative? That you didn't achieve that thing that allowed you to be stressed over this thing. And if you say, like, my goal this year is to, I'm trying to think of another one. I work with a lot of women, and a lot of them deal with infertility, and pregnancy is a really big goal for them. If your goal is to have a sleepless night because you're up feeding a newborn, or, dealing with morning sickness because you finally got pregnant, that is an awesome goal to have. And then when you achieve it, you're going to be able to look back and you're like, dang, I am experiencing, this gut-wrenching morning sickness, or I am sleep deprived with this little baby that I created, but it's that goal that I've been yearning for years. And just having a realistic perspective on what is going to happen when you do achieve those goals.
That's good.
I want to be jet lagged.
I'm with you there.
All right.
It means we did something cool.
Yeah, I think maybe I'll add that. What's the downside of learning how to French braid? Because that actually is one of my 2024 goals. I have 5 really serious goals, and then in a very serious sense still, my 6th goal is to learn how to French braid, because it's been 27 years.
Also very serious.
My reframing of that goal is that I want my arms to be so tired because I'm French braiding my hair so much. And that means that I learned how.
Want your arms to be falling asleep.
Yeah, I have a lot of hair, and imagine if you're starting here, keeping your
lack of blood flow to your arms.
Yeah,
I want my arms to fall asleep in 2024.
If all goes to plan, it'll happen.
All right, I have something that I just spontaneously thought might be kind of a fun little addition to the end of the episode.
Okay.
All right, we'll call it our Wild Wednesday question. So, all right. Just bear with me here.
Okay.
I was listening to a podcast recently, and this just gets me in such a weird state of mind. So I'm interested to hear what your feedback is on this.
I'm nervous.
So the discussion revolved around basically all these unknown times that had preceded us. So we're talking like BC times, and the conversation was revolving around, we have all these things that have happened before us that we have really no explanation for, such as the pyramids, and how in the world they moved tons and tons of rock and put them in a perfect geometric shape and moved these rocks for hundreds of miles, and we're able to stack them on top of one another. I mean, it's just mind-blowing to think about all these different things that have taken place well before, what at least we perceive modern technology existed. So the thought was that basically, like, we could have had a meteor wipe out the Earth at some point in time prior to, well, basically when things were documented. But those things were basically wiped out, and all the technology that came along with it wiped out. And basically, infrastructure as we know it today had to be completely, redone, revamped, reformulated. Like, our modern existence could have been already done once before, but just in a different way. They could have been more advanced back then than we are now, but we just have no documentation of it. Does that strike you as something that's plausible?
No. No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Well, because that's the thing about, if you gain the knowledge from having access to all those resources, whether those things get struck down or taken from you, the knowledge stays, and that should have been passed on.
Not if all the people got wiped out, though.
Okay, well, where the people come from now?
Well, there may have been like a remote group of people somewhere way far away, that had no knowledge of that action, of any of this information. I mean, there's parts of this world today
that still part got knocked out, then why would
very primally.
Right. Why would the pyramids stay if all the technology that it made it possible?
Well, I mean, I would say that it was a situation where humans couldn't survive it, but the pyramids could, because they're so structurally sound.
But whatever carried them, the machinery, the implements, what happened to those? I thought that's what you were proposing.
No. I mean, that's the $1 million question, is what did happen? Like, what advancements did they have at that time to be able to do those things?
I have no idea.
Because it doesn't make any sense that humans did those things with manpower. There's no possible way. I mean, I don't know how many ton one individual stone was, amongst these pyramids. Yeah, and there's pyramids in various different locations. We think of like Egypt when we think of these pyramids, but there's pyramids in various places.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about them, but I would love to be jet lagged from visiting them.
But it is just such a thought-provoking thing. I was curious to hear what your thought was.
I would like to. What podcast was it? I'd like to listen to it.
That was on Rogan.
Okay. It's thought-provoking.
They probably articulated that information better than I did, but because he's well versed in that area of history. But it's just very, very interesting to think about, because whenever you try to rationalize, okay, well, how were those stones put in place without some sort of technological intervention that like we would have today?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because supposedly,
that's why it's one of the wonders of the world.
Supposedly, it was just made by man, and that doesn't make sense. There's literally no possible way that those were made by man alone. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's why it's one of the wonders of the world.
But there has to be an explanation. That's where like it starts to kind of make sense in my mind. But it's always going to be this big question mark. It's kind of like the Library of Alexandria. Like all these documents just went up in flames, and we lost all this important information about our world's history.
If I'm being 100% honest, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. All right, we can wrap it up.
I don't know what the Library of Alexander is.
Alexandria.
See? Don't know who she is either. All right.
Who?
All right, guys. If you guys have any topics or suggestions for us to talk about, we'd love to hear it. We always love to get your guys' feedback. And you can email those to us at our email,
pod@lexijwellness.com.
But until then, we will talk to you next Wednesday.